You feel hollow inside because you've turned your back on yourself. Each time you slam the alarm off instead of rising, each moment you waste scrolling instead of creating, each instant you choose comfort over discipline, you strangle the man you were meant to become. The world isn't against you. It simply doesn't even see you. And until you transform into someone unforgettable, it never will. Masculinity today isn't confused. It's being dismantled on purpose. This era knows very well what a true man looks like, and that's why it's afraid of him. A strong man doesn't crave permission. He doesn't beg for approval. He doesn't say sorry for aiming higher. His presence alone unsettles people, and for that reason, they brand him dangerous. Society doesn't reward masculine power. It punishes it, because real strength uncovers the weakness around it. Real leadership highlights the cowards. Real discipline makes the undisciplined uncomfortable. You're not despised because you're mistaken. You're despised because you're right. Because you force others to face what they could have been but chose not to be. And here's the harsh reality no one likes to acknowledge. Being a man was never designed to be easy. You weren't brought into this world to lie around. You were brought here to bear weight. Emotional, financial, physical, spiritual weight. That responsibility is the furnace that forges who you are. If you want a meaningful existence, stop running from hardship and embrace it. A man's life is meant to be challenging. It is meant to feel like war. Each battle you fight is life testing whether or not you deserve power. And power isn't handed to anyone. It's carved from pain, effort, and solitude. You build it when you train while exhaustion begs you to quit. You build it when you work in silence while everyone else wastes time celebrating. You build it when you hold yourself steady in storms that would break lesser men. But you've been lied to your whole life. They told you masculinity was poison. They said being quiet meant you were repressing. They said toughness was trauma. They said standing firm was abuse. They packaged manhood in fear and guilt and sold it to you. The worst part, most men bought it. They chose comfort over courage. They chose applause over achievement. They chose ease instead of growth. Now they wander through life medicated, addicted, hopeless, confused, too timid to even lead themselves. That's why men today are drowning in depression. Because how can you feel alive when your natural instincts are chained in shame? A man stripped of masculinity is a lion stripped of his roar. He may still breathe, but he never conquers. He exists, but he never lives. So what do? You rise, you rebuild, you fight. You don't wait for life to hand you a crown. You chisel it from your own suffering. You accept that the world isn't fair, and you turn that into fuel. You stop searching for motivation and start embodying it. You train not to look good, but to build armor. You study not to impress, but to sharpen your sword. You speak not to please, but to radiate certainty. Deep down, you already know this. The world honors the man who shapes himself. Not the man who complains, not the man who blames, but the one who keeps enduring, keeps improving, keeps executing even when pain is all around him. You're not weak because you got knocked down. You're weak if you refuse to get up again. You're not broken because you shed tears. You're broken if you never rise after crying. Every real man has felt despair. Every warrior has doubted himself. But a man doesn't allow those feelings to define him. He uses them as steel to forge a higher standard. That pressure you carry isn't punishment. It's potential screaming at you to rise. So rise. Walk through the darkness. Step into the fire. You'll either come out as a king or you'll be buried a coward. But at least you chose the fight. There's still hope for men. But it won't come from the outside world. It must come from within you. You take your manhood back the moment you stop waiting and start creating. The second you stop apologizing and start commanding. Masculinity isn't reckless aggression. It's about protecting what matters, carrying what's required, and standing upright, even if you're the only one left. When everything collapses and backs are against the wall, the world searches for someone to follow. And if you've done the work, if you've built the strength, sharpened the mind, hardened the spirit, they'll find you. So let them call you cold. Let them call you stubborn. Let them twist your silence and misinterpret your strength. You don't need their validation. You need outcomes. And results only come when you accept that manhood isn't gifted. It's war. And it's a war you must wake up and win every day. There was a time I stood where you stand, angry, confused, overflowing with energy, but with no map to guide me. I had no blueprint, no father teaching me how to fight, how to lead, how to dominate. I wasn't born into a castle. I built mine stone by stone, bleeding knuckles, a target painted on my back. I remember nights alone staring at the ceiling, wondering why this rage boiled inside me. I wasn't weak, but I wasn't strong yet either. I was a storm without direction. And storms don't matter. Only hurricanes with purpose matter. I remember trudging home broke, frozen, jaw clenched, fists shoved into pockets. Not from the cold, but from anger at myself for wasting potential. That's when manhood spoke to me. It doesn't yell, it whispers. And the whisper said, no savior is coming. Either you become something, or you rot like the rest. There was no drama, no music, just freezing wind and a choice. That's how masculinity arrives, not with applause, but confrontation. It demands sacrifice. It says, kill the boy, burn the excuses, bury the weakness. If you want the crown, earn the scars. I could have folded. I could have pointed fingers. But a man doesn't ask for lighter loads. He builds a stronger back. So I went to war with myself. Not once, every single day. And I still fight that war now. Masculinity isn't a switch. It's a fire you must keep stoking. Every rep I forced out when I wanted to stop. Every night I skipped meals because I couldn't afford them. Every hour I worked when sleep begged me to collapse. That was the crucible. That was transformation. I didn't lift weights to flex. I lifted because mass commands respect. I didn't read to appear smart. I read because knowledge is a blade. I didn't chase wealth for luxury. I chased it so no one could ever shackle me again. People think masculinity is about domination. It's not. It's about dominion, command over yourself and your environment, the ability to impose order on chaos, to enter a room and not request respect, but command it without saying anything. I've seen bigger men crumble when pressure mounted. Why? Because size means nothing if the mind is small. I've stared killers in the eyes and never flinched. Not because I lack fear, but because I faced my own darkness. Once you conquer yourself, the world stops being a threat and starts becoming a field you own. They shout about toxic masculinity. The true poison is raising boys to be soft, compliant, and ashamed of themselves. That's why they're depressed, addicted, violent, or lost. Because they've been told to be less than what they are. A man stripped of his aggression is prey. A man denied discipline is directionless. Masculinity isn't chaos, it's controlled fire. They fear it because it's raw, untamed, and uncontrollable. And whatever they can't control, they attempt to destroy. I had to kill the old me, the lazy, soft, weak version. He's gone, and I don't mourn him. I celebrate his death, because the moment I let him die, I rose higher. I created my own code. I raised my own standard, and suddenly the universe responded, doors open, respect arrived, not because I begged, but because I became undeniable. That's masculinity, the relentless pursuit of higher ground. Not because you hate where you are, but because you know where you could be. And the gap between a boy and a man isn't years, it's accountability. Boys blame, men build. Boys run, men stand. Boys hide in comfort, men forge legacies. You want respect? Earn it. You want followers? Lead yourself first. You want peace. Prepare for war. Manhood isn't declared with words. It's proven when you bleed for your name, grind for your mission, and suffer for your transformation. Because no one gives you value, you assign it to yourself. And here's what they'll never admit. Even after you become strong, life won't ease up. The challenges keep coming. The pressure never stops. But that's the point. Masculinity isn't a destination. It's a discipline, a way of life. The code you follow when no one is there to clap. When you train in silence. When you say no to temptation. When you speak the truth even when it trembles out of you. That is what makes you a man. Not your bank balance, not your beard, not your bravado, but your choices when no one's watching. So when you ask, what does it mean to be a man? It means choosing the hard path. Building when you'd rather rest. Protecting when you'd rather flee. Rising when life knocks you flat. Masculinity is under attack precisely because it's powerful. The world is terrified of powerful men. So become the man they can't erase. Become the storm they can't silence. Prove to them that real men still exist. Time isn't on your side. That's the truth they hide from you. Every second you waste doubting, hesitating, scrolling, someone else is sharpening his blade. While you sleep, another man wakes, trains, builds, and takes the life you claimed you wanted. You think this is a joke. Look around. Weakness is everywhere. They hand out trophies for showing up and call it accomplishment. They tell men to be sensitive like children, agreeable like pets, passive like shadows. Then they wonder why everything collapses. The reason you're losing is simple. You were trained to lose. You think you're safe. You're not. One phone call, one accident, one recession, one betrayal. Everything gone. Comfort isn't your reward, it's your curse. Comfort is a slow death dressed up as success. Men aren't made for comfort. We are forged in pressure. Struggle isn't your enemy, it's your proof that you're alive. The moment life becomes easy, your soul begins to die. You were born to carry weight. If you dodge that truth, you'll sink into mediocrity. Every man has a ticking clock above his head. Most never hear it, but if you're still reading, you do. That hunger, that restlessness, that's your soul demanding more. You weren't born to drift like a ghost. You were born for legacy, for war, for power. Not gifted power, taken power. You were created to struggle, to endure, to conquer. Not because life is cruel, but because you were designed to be unbreakable. You sit there whispering, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. That's the trap. You skip the workout, skip the grind, skip the sacrifice, imagining life will wait. It won't. The world pays only the man who acts now, the man who moves through pressure, the man who says, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. That man wins. That man becomes king. That man leaves everyone else behind to rot, and nobody feels bad for the quitters. Nobody cries for the cowards. Life is savage competition, and only the relentless survive. You say you want success, but you fear the pain it requires. That's weakness speaking. That's the voice of every man who folded when life got hard. Every scar you earn is proof that you lived. Each stumble is progress disguised. But if you hide from the climb because you fear falling, you'll spend your life crawling on your knees. Men who crawl vanish without a trace. Men who fight are remembered. So what scares you? Being rejected. Broke people mocking your ambition. A woman walking away because you chose discipline instead of temporary pleasure. Let her leave. Let them laugh. Let the world fail to understand you. That's the cost of greatness. What should terrify you is waking up in your 50s, realizing you wasted your best years chasing nothing, with a weaker body, a slower mind, a dead fire, and nothing but stories of what you could have been. Regret is the cruelest poison a man will ever drink, and once it seeps into your soul, there is no cure. So ask yourself right now, if death took me tomorrow, would I be proud of who I became? If the answer is no, then why are you still stalling? There's no restart, no reset, no extra life. You only get one chance. And most men waste it chasing comfort, chasing cheap distractions, chasing approval. You see men rising and you tell yourself, I'll get there too. No, you won't. Not unless you wake up right now. Because while you're sleeping, they're grinding. While you're wasting hours on screens, they're building. While you're numbing yourself with food, porn, or parties, they're sharpening their blades. And when it's time to clash, you'll be lying in your own blood while they stand tall, calm, and ready for more. Manhood is forged in silence and proven in war. You either arrive prepared or you get destroyed. Do you know why they want you entertained and distracted? Because a man who's locked in is dangerous. A man who trains, studies, and builds without noise becomes a storm that no one can tame. That's why they promote weakness. That's why they glorify emasculation. Because a man who's strong in body, mind, and spirit is the last line of defense against control. Break him and the future collapses. But if you rise, if you become the man you were meant to be, their power crumbles. So be the one who resists. Be the one who doesn't fold. Be the one who's feared not for rage, but for discipline that never bends. You have two options: become the wolf or get eaten by the pack. There's no in between, no safety net, no trophies for participation. Masculinity isn't toxic, weakness is. And your time is slipping away. What will you do? Scroll past this and keep sleeping? Or stand the hell up, look your life in the face and say, I was made for more. I was born to be a man. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. Every ounce of masculinity is forged through sweat, blood, and pain. No one hands you manhood. It's carved into your spirit by the life you endure. That's the truth no one told you. This world owes you nothing. Being a man means waking every day to a battlefield with no applause, no prizes, no comfort. Only the reality that no one is coming to save you. You either save yourself or you drown with the forgotten. You want strength. Earn it. Stop waiting for motivation to appear. Get up and do what the weak refuse to do. Train when you're exhausted. Work when you don't feel like it. Show up when nobody's looking. A man is measured by what he does unseen, not what he shows online. You can pretend, you can talk, but when life smashes you in the mouth, only your habits, mindset, and relentless grind will decide if you rise again or stay on the ground like the coward you swore you'd never be. Masculinity is not rage. It's control. It's holding the ability to destroy and choosing restraint. It's walking into a room and commanding respect without saying a word. It's a spine of steel that doesn't bend under weight. A mind so focused it doesn't snap under stress. You want respect. Start living as someone worthy of it. Let your results speak. Let your presence intimidate. Let your work ethic be so vicious the world cannot ignore you. Manhood is defined by responsibility, not ego. And responsibility isn't glamorous. It's heavy. It's isolating. It's brutal. You think being a man is about showing off wealth. That's child's play. Being a man means staying composed when everything collapses. It means sacrificing now so your future isn't built on lies. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means standing firm when the whole world crumbles. Because if you can't lead yourself, you'll never lead anyone else. And if you can't endure silence, you don't deserve to speak with authority. Look at your hands. What have they created? What mark have you etched into history? What example are you leaving for your son to follow? A man is remembered not by his words, but by the empire he leaves behind. That's the weight. That's the pressure. And it's beautiful because only under pressure do diamonds form. Only in chaos does a true man rise. You can hate pain or you can crave it. You can flee the storm or you can become the thunder within it. Weak men complain. Strong men build. You don't grow tougher by whining about your life. You grow tougher by becoming dangerous to it. You turn trauma into armor. You turn heartbreak into fuel. You turn rejection into a reason to win. A real man turns every failure into leverage. The day you stop making excuses is the day you begin building your kingdom. The longer you overthink, the further you drift from the man you were born to be. They want you broken, because a broken man is easy to rule. They want you obedient, because obedience breeds weakness. You were made for war, not routine. You were built to conquer, not comply. So don't just chase goals, hunt them. Don't just wish for strength, bleed for it. Don't just dream, act like your life is on the line, because it is. The clock is running, and with every second you hesitate, another man sharpens his edge, preparing to take what you won't fight for. No warrior is born in peace. You need weight. You need struggle. You need rejection. Every scar on your body proves you refuse to quit. Pain is the toll you pay for greatness. If you're not willing to pay, stay average. Stay weak. Stay forgotten. But if there's even a spark inside you, even a whisper in your soul saying you were meant for more, now is the time to unleash it. Not later, not tomorrow. Now. Because no one's handing you the crown. You have to rip it from the jaws of comfort. You're not here to blend in. You're here to lead. You're not here for ease. You're here to master chaos. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them mock. And then bury them with your results. The strongest thing a man can do is refuse to quit. When life tries to break you, stare back and say, "You don't scare me. I've already fought worse battles in silence and won. This is your war, your life, your chance. No one's coming. No one cares." And that's your greatest power, because the man who realizes his success depends only on him becomes unstoppable. So rise, fix your crown, and work like your future is at stake, because it is. Enough stalling, enough fantasizing, enough pretending tomorrow will save you. It won't. The longer you sit still, the further you drift from the man you were meant to become. You think you have time. You don't. Every second you waste in comfort is a second your rivals sharpen their edge. Every hour you procrastinate is an hour your competition used to become unbeatable. While you scroll, they grind. While you dream, they build. And when you finally wake up, you'll see the world doesn't slow for the lazy, it crushes them. You weren't built for softness. Masculinity is born through responsibility, hardened by pressure, and tested through pain. If you haven't felt the world's weight on your shoulders, you haven't stepped into manhood yet. Boyhood dies the moment the warrior inside takes over. There's no shortcut, no hack, no easy road. You either become him or fade into nothingness. Decide now, not later, not next week, now. What kind of man do you want to be? Because no one is handing it to you. No one's begging you to become great. You have to want it so much that failure disgusts you, that mediocrity insults you, that weakness makes you sick. You have to wake up and fight your excuses daily. You must lead yourself before you're worthy to lead others. There's no victory without sacrifice. No glory without grind. Masculinity doesn't apologize for strength. It doesn't beg for validation. It doesn't break under pressure. The true man stands tallest when alone, bruised, and silent. Because he knows storms don't destroy him, they reveal him. You don't need people to understand your mission. You don't need permission to stay disciplined. You don't need applause to remain focused. You just need hunger, ruthless hunger, to be the man your bloodline lacked, the protector your future family needs, the leader your brothers will follow into fire without doubt. And the gap between weak men and unstoppable men is one thing: action. The weak complain, compare, hesitate, and whine. The masculine move. They face fear head on. They ignore doubt. They act without emotion. When emotion becomes weakness, they don't care how they feel. They care about what must be done. Discipline is what remains when motivation fades. And it always fades. That's when your DNA is tested. That's when you discover if you were made to rule or made to rot. So answer this honestly. Are you the man who conquers or the man who watches others win? Are you the hammer or the nail? Because the world only respects power, not intentions, not titles, not dreams. Power. And power doesn't scream. It's earned. Earned by rising first and resting last. Earned by choosing responsibility over distraction. Earned by trading pleasure for pain, comfort for growth, popularity for truth. You can't complain about the life you tolerate. You can't talk like a lion while living like a sheep. The biggest lie sold to you is that being average is enough. It's not. Being average is betrayal. Betrayal to your name, your ancestors, your future. You think you're tired now. Real pain comes at 80, when you realize you wasted the fire God gave you, that you let softness steal your legacy, that you handed your potential to fear and doubt. But you still have time. Not much, but enough. Enough to become everything you were meant to be. If you stop lying to yourself. Enough to outwork everyone who laughed at you. Enough to turn your weakness into your weapon. Enough to become a man who doesn't need to talk because his actions echo louder than words ever could. You become undeniable the moment you stop negotiating with your weaker self. That's when masculinity becomes instinct, not effort. That's when discipline becomes default, not decision. So here's the moment, the test, the last chance. Rise or rot. Discipline or decay. Become the man you were born to be, or bow to the softness that's destroyed empires.